So I was driving my yellow Mach 1 around, and my friend with the black Mach 1 that lives the next street down was having a little rattling noise, and he asked if I could go for a ride with him and listen and hear it out and see if I could figure out what's wrong with the car. And we had pulled the transmission off for the second time because the clutch fork pivot ball had come loose and it was beating up the pressure plate, and we had to put a new pivot ball stud in it with Loctite and everything. So we put the transmission back up and everything's been fine, but it developed this rattling noise that was really starting to drive him nuts. And it was pretty quiet, but I could hear it too. And so we drove around, diagnosed a little bit, and then I said, hey, next time you get the car up in the air, let's look underneath it and run it and everything. And he said, yeah, I'm going to do an oil change pretty soon, so when I get that all ready and the car's up, then you can come over and look it over. And we're going to get to the bottom of it, so stay tuned towards the end of the video here. You're going to see what we figured out on that. Luckily, it was a simple fix. And speaking of Mach 1s, my friend sent me this heartbreaking picture of an azure blue Mach 1 that found its way into the bottom of a swimming pool. Really sad to see. Hopefully that car was fished out and dried out, and everything on that car is ruined though. So not sure whatever happened. If anybody knows anything about that car or about what happened to it or anything, put it in the comments. I'd like to know. It's really too bad to see that. I don't know how long ago that was or when that happened, but anyway, too bad to see that. Now, there's a possibility that this isn't a real photo, but judging by the front bumper being broken, like it looks like maybe that happened as the car had fallen into the pool. It's very possible, but I did think that I saw a very similar picture of a Ford Raptor in a swimming pool like that, and maybe it's just some kind of filter that people are doing, or maybe it just happens more often than not. But anyway, if that is real, then that's too bad to see. So I've been daily driving the silver GT, and it looks really good. Now the camera kind of puts a glare on it, so it's not as nice as it looks in person, but you can tell it's a nice morning, and the GT was looking so good I just had to film it a little bit here. And so I was just dropping off some stuff at the library early in the morning. That silver metallic looked really good, and I just love that color. I think it looks so nice on this car. So I've just been enjoying driving a lot. My wife drives it a lot as well, so we kind of take turns, and she'll take it places and stuff. So it's cool to see, and I like to watch it drive off. We drove it all around. Actually, in Halloween, went and looked at a couple of places around here that had some cool displays and some really decorated yards and stuff. And so here it is in a church parking lot nearby one of the houses we went to, and so that was really fun to go and do that and just drive around in the GT and have fun with it that night. So it was kind of crazy. So then around the house, I was just doing some things and organizing and cleaning up, and I wanted to pull the Bullitt Mustang out of the new car garage carport thing and put a carpet underneath it. And so the cars are parked on gravel over here, but they're pretty clean here. It already had a rug under the front of it, but I have some old rugs that my brother actually gave me, and I wanted to just put it underneath the car. There's the blue, Sonic Blue Parts Car GT. And so I've had this rug that I used to park the cars on in the other garage, and I've heard that when cars sit on the cement, that condensation from the cement sweating can work its way up under the car and get condensation in the fuel tank or rust the bottom side of the car. And around here in the desert, there's really no humidity. It's really low, so I don't think there's really a problem with that. I see cars that have parked on the grass over the years get rusty underneath because there's moisture in the grass and the dirt. And so I just thought, well, I might as well do what I can to keep this car from getting anything near that possibility. And here where it's parked in the gravel, but like I said, in the desert here, there's hardly any condensation, or there's hardly any moisture in the air, and so I don't think it's going to be a problem. And the Bullitt is actually undercoated from the dealership it was sold to new in northern Utah, and so it has undercoating under it anyway, but all the hardware under the car looks good anyway, so I don't think it's a problem. But I just thought I might as well do this and just add a layer of protection there. You could do a plastic sheeting, or you could put some kind of a floor in this area underneath this carport. There are like big rubber mats that people put in their normal garages. I thought about putting those down and stuff, but for now I thought I'll just park it on this rug. But it's going to put a battery in it. It sits out here, and I don't want to have a battery in the car because it's getting cold, and I could put a battery tender on it, but there's no reason to go through all that trouble, and I could just keep the battery inside the house and stuff. So looking pretty good under here, though. Decided I'll just show putting the battery in the car. There's the supercharged engine, fully built 4.6 liter for those who aren't familiar. Ported heads, cams, everything. So pretty awesome setup here. But anyway, I'm going to put the battery in the car and start it up, and I'm actually just going to move it back a little bit, and just enough that I can throw down that new rug and put it underneath it. Now, it's not good to run a car for a very short time. It builds condensation in the engine, in the valve covers, everything, and really short trips like that can actually gunk up the engine because it doesn't give enough time for the moisture to burn out. So if you're just driving it every day, just a few blocks away, that'll actually build up some condensation inside the engine. And so I didn't really want to run it just for a short period of time like that. I just did this because I needed to move the car to put the rug there. Now, there's been a lot of people who have a debate about storing cars over the winter, and if you should go out and run them for a little bit, or even storing the cars for extended periods of time anyway.
That's why
I was just showing the wrench real quick. The reason I do the positive first and then the negative is because that positive is right next to that metal power steering bracket that's on the Torque Tech kit, and sometimes the wrench will bump it and shock, so I always make sure to put this negative on after for that reason. But anyway, yeah, storing cars in extended periods of time, and people say you should run them, but then other people say no, because that's just going to build up condensation and stuff and cause damage. So it's probably better if the car sits longer and doesn't get run often like that. But anyway, that's debatable. So we'll start out the Bullitt and move it back here. That's kind of funny. I was just watching that as I'm editing this video, and you see this rug go flying. This kind of hits the other one there. So I had two rugs, I forgot. So I'm just going to lay these out all the way. And, you can put in the comments whether you think this is going to help or not. I think it's kind of nice to have it parked on something. But anyway, forgot I had a couple of rugs here to do this with, so anyway. So I also had another reason I wanted to do this. I wanted to move the bullitt over a little bit closer to that sidewall there. And I'm going to try to squeeze the yellow GT in here too. So we'll see if I can do that because I want it out of the sun. But under here you can see how close the exhaust is. I mean, it's not really that close, but it looks like it. But underneath there's, pretty clean here, no rust. The car has the undercoating, like I said, from the first dealership. So it's really clean under here, and I don't think it's going to be a problem anyway. But that's all undercoating there. It looks kind of dirty, but that's what it is. And you can flake that off, maybe dry ice, blast it sometime. I don't know. It's all right. It's taken care of. So I was changing the battery in the yellow Mach 1, and the tray is pretty dirty. And if you've watched my videos, I love cleaning these trays out. So I'll just remove them and take them out, and luckily got that longer bolt out without it shearing off. Sometimes they'll snap because they get wet and corroded. This still has the factory harness in the tray there. Usually you don't see that. Those are never connected in there like that anymore, so I don't think this tray's ever been out, but luckily that bolt there didn't rust and shear right off, and so we'll put some grease on it and stuff. But I've cleaned these trays up a lot. I really think they clean up nicely, and then underneath here I wanted to clean it up a little bit too, and so got that tray all cleaned up. It looks good, and I'm gonna do some more detailing. You can see this cleaned up pretty well here as well. And here's some grease. I just put some of that on that long bolt that goes down in there so that it has a nice tightening in there. Now this was very interesting. You see my brother's truck there. This is actually a very interesting story. Right after I was done replacing the battery in the yellow Mach 1, my brother called me and asked if I could come and help him get this Acura that he bought. And he actually bought it for a friend because he has a friend who wrecked their Acura into a house, and he's putting it back together for them just to be nice. And he bought another one as a parts car, and it was supposed to run, but it didn't. I think the fuel pump was dead, and so we were ending up needing to tow it back to his house. And it was kind of an eventful evening trying to get a trailer lined up, which fell through. And so we ended up just towing it with the tow straps. But the really interesting thing was he brought a set of wheels from the other Acura that had new tires on it in the back of his truck with his floor jack. And we were going to swap the wheels out and everything. And they pumped up the tires and they held air. And the car wasn't going to drive on its own, and so I volunteered to go ahead and just ride in the Acura and use the handbrake and tow it home like I did with a couple of my Mustang GTs that I towed from across town behind my Tahoe that way, and it was fine. It worked out well, but while we were trying to hook up the Acura, this noise came down the main road there, and we heard this Jeep and a trailer pull in just on the same street we were on, and they had blown a tire on their trailer. And I looked over and saw the guy looking at his flat tire, and I looked in the back of the truck and I'm like, wow, we have a floor jack. We could make this really quick and help the guy. And so my brother agreed to go ahead and do that. So I walked over to the guy and I was like, hey, you need a floor jack? And he didn't know he had one. He was just like, yeah, it looks like I do. And I said, hey, we have a floor jack. If you want, we can lift that up real quick and swap that tire out with you. And he was really excited and grateful for that. And we did it. And we even had some tools he needed because he didn't have the right size like nut to take off the spare tire off the trailer and stuff. So we did that real quick, and my brother and I had a cool conversation about how it's really important to help people need even when you're busy. Like my brother was underneath the car trying to get it all strapped up with the tow strap so we could tow it home and everything. And I know he was really concerned about that, but we stopped what we were doing and helped somebody else, and I think that was a great opportunity and it was really fun.
Travel. How much did he sell you that? $650.
The next morning, I was meeting my friend with the black Mach 1, and we were going to go to a car meet, and it was stormy out, and I had just washed the Mach 1, but, you know, sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. So here he comes in his black Mach 1, and we're going to go to this cool car meet and meet up with a friend with a white Mach 1, who I haven't met yet. A pretty good turnout. We had my friend's black 2000 Mustang GT, and he's doing a lot of work on that car now, and my friend's Coyote Swap 98 GT, my friend's Redfire Gen 5 3.0 Whipple Terminator there, beautiful car, and he's been doing a lot of shows with that one lately. Friend's a really nice low mile 50th anniversary black Coyote, and that red GT there, the 99 GT, was really cool. And I talked with the owner of that car and had a great time, and he got the car for a great price, and he's very proud of it. And it's really good to see somebody loving that car and having fun with it. That white Mach 1's really nice, low mileage, and it even had some marker writing on the bottom of the hood, which I thought was kind of cool. It had the build date. I've never seen that before, and so it's an early Mach 1 too. It was built in 02. Now, I'm not sure what all these numbers mean exactly. He actually had the certificate, and his was actually number like 185 out of all the Mach 1s built. So really early production build in the first 200 made. So that's pretty low. And it was centrifugal supercharged. I can't remember if it was a Vortec or a Procharger, but it sounded good driving off. And again, it has like low miles, somewhere in the 45,000 mile range or so. When you get to that point in your Alright, it's a really nice day. It's time to take the competition orange Terminator Cobra out for a drive, and I just wanted to go drive it around a little bit. It was just too nice of a day to not go anywhere in it, and I've been having the itch to drive it around a little bit more, and it's also a little bit cooler, so I like driving it when it's not so hot. These two looked really good together. I had to take a picture. They all look good together, but that's cool. Cobra snake looking really nice. The envious cobra snake on the fender. Since it's warmed up, we might as well have a few revs before I put it away. The zinc yellow GT is looking good. So my younger brother bought a C5 Corvette. He's had over 44 LS cars, and he wanted me to go drive it home. So he actually picked me up in it. We went back to go get his car. It's about an hour away, and then I drove the Corvette home.
Heck yeah.
Hear that chirping noise? I'm gonna fix a few things on this car, but we noticed at the gas station that the serpentine belt was coming off. It wasn't put on right, and he drove all the way down there and back with it this way, but it was okay, so we got home. With no tools, I tried to use my foot on the tensioner to try to get the belt on, but we couldn't really do it.
Oh yeah, it's really nice.
I got the Corvette back to his house and then back at my house again, looking over the Cobra in the garage at night. It looked so good. Man, I love this car. With the cover off of it too. I don't see it that way very much because I have that clear cover on it. But anyway, it's an automatic Corvette. It's got Flowmasters, and it's a nice car, kind of higher mileage, 156,000, I think. But really nice car for what it was and for the price. It was about what I paid for my Mach 1, so pretty cool car. But anyway, the serpentine belt was shredding, and the power steering pulley was actually really loose, and so we had a lot of work to do on it. And so he asked if he could work on it, and I said, yeah, bring it over, we'll work on it. And so we got the belt off of it and everything, and he went and got parts, and even leaving the hood up to cool for over an hour, it still burned my hand. Working on this was a little bit of a pain. He had to move the ABS module out of the way to try to remove the power steering assembly, and then he ended up buying a new whole assembly and pulley and everything. And, I said, don't break that old pulley off until we make sure that we have the new one, and of course they didn't have one in town. Then I took the GT to the church to go help set up a projector for a broadcast. And then driving home, it was just really nice. I love the light on the dashboard like that. Beautiful, bright day. Driving an awesome car. I like driving this a lot. It's really awesome. And with the Mach 1, it got rained on a little bit when we went to that car show. So I wiped it down, just kind of cleaned it up, and, just did a little bit of light cleaning on it. Didn't need much, just had a few little water spots on it. So I had a wet microfiber and a dry microfiber and just kind of spot cleaned it. And then took the GT. There it is, an extra Coyote. I still love the way the GT looks. New Coyotes are nice cars. I really like them, but I just love the new Edge Mustangs. I just think they look so good. So back at the house, I'm going to wash the yellow GT, clean it up a little bit, and I'm going to try to put it away back here between the Bullitt and the Sonic Blue car. I made some space, and it's really tight back here, and basically it's going to be mirror to mirrors touching. But I just thought I might as well put the yellow GT under here if I can. I feel bad that the Sonic Blue car is under here, but the yellow GT is still out in the sunlight all the time, sitting in the driveway. So I'm going to try really hard to get the GT in here. And as you can tell, it's not very convenient, but at least I have the car in the shade, in the covering, out of the elements. And there's probably only one way you can realize you can get out of here, and it's not going to be out the windows. Definitely not getting through the doors. The mirrors are almost touching there, and there's only one way to get out of here. It definitely doesn't help that the struts are dead on the trunk. I need to replace those, so this would be easier. It was a beautiful morning the next day. I went and dropped off my ballot to vote, and that was a good thing. I'm very happy with the outcome. And then that night, we were driving around in the Tahoe, and we came across my brother driving his GT, and it sounded really good. it looks like a kid drove their parents' Ferrari to school. Good for them. That's awesome. This Ferrari was in the high school parking lot, but there was also a baseball thing going on there, so it might have been a parent visiting, but it was during school hours. Then I looked on the valve cover of my Cobras to look at the date of when the engines were built. This one was 6/10 of 03, so this is my 10th anniversary Cobra. And then on my 04 Cobra, it was 9/8 of 03. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Both of them late 03 DB head cars. But I did think it's interesting that my red Cobra was made in June and the engine was also made in June. But the orange Cobra was made in January of 04, but the engine was built in September of 03. So that engine waited a few months before it went into my orange Cobra, where the red Cobra, the engine was almost immediately put into it right after it was built. So very interesting to think of the process and how SVT worked and how they built engines. And, you know, there's so much that goes into that I have no idea how that all works out. But the cool thing is they're both the 9-thread head DB casting heads, so I'm very happy about that. My wife and I had our first apartment against that black hill there. That was a long time ago, 17 years ago. Wow. Anyway, I came up here to this nice resort here to get a massage, and I told myself I'd relax and get a massage after so many hard projects that I've done, and my back was so sore, and my body was aching after, working on so many cars and working in that shop with a lot of LS cars and doing the Kenny Bell car and stuff. So I just, finally got around to it and took the yellow Mach 1 for a drive up there, and that was really relaxing. Thought it'd be nice to pick up a vanilla frosty on the way home. That was just the right touch. I had to stop by the church and check up on a couple things. Mach 1 looking really good. I love how this staircase goes right to it. Nice aerial shot of the car. Looks great. I went out to dinner with my wife and took the silver GT. perfect car to take there. Fun to go on a date in that car. Again, at the church, had to stop by for something else. And then the next night, cruising around, and I went to Walmart and I picked up some really neat models, some 164 scale cars. Nice day, and it's a good time to have an air fryer barbecue. That's what I love to do. Pull out the carpet, hang out in the garage, listen to music, stuff. And here's this cat. His name is Mouster, and I'm allergic to cats, but he's basically adopted us, and he thinks the yellow GT is his new perch, and he loves to hang out here. And so I just thought it was kind of funny that he chose this place to hang out, and he's not going to hurt anything on the yellow GT. And we've just basically taken him in. Neighbors don't really want him anymore, I guess, so we're feeding him and just taking care of him. He sleeps there. Saw this Toyota Supra with my brother. We always see it there in our old neighborhood with a cover on it, but the cover was off. We went for a drive in his screaming yellow Terminator Cobra, went to our old neighborhood and just hung out. We love being here in the fall time. It's just perfect. Car is fantastic. Took the yellow Mach 1 for a little night drive, went to the Ford dealership. The lighting's always good here at night. I like to walk around and take videos of the car here. It's always fun to go to the dealership even though there's nothing there that I'm interested in, but this is where I used to look at Mach 1's brand new, and so it's always fun. And then I put the gapping on this guy who's coming up behind me. Hear him revving his little turbo car with his blow-off valve, and he was hanging back so he can check me out. He wouldn't come up next to me, and I knew he was going to do a little racer flyby. So I just put the camera in the cup holders so you can hear me put a whooping on him.
Machine.
Put a whooping on this BRZ that had big wing and stuff all riced out. Zip zap. Then I celebrated a couple street kills with some ice cream and enjoyed seeing the Mach 1 here. This parking lot's where everyone used to meet up back in the day. Got the silver GT. And we were going over and saw this white GT, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye. It has 98 Cobra wheels on it. I believe those are my old Cobra wheels from my 98 Cobra. And I was looking it over, and it has the 96 to 98 taillights, but then I noticed a couple things about it. The GT badge is the older one for the 5.0. The door panels would make it a 96 or older, so we basically came to the conclusion it was a 94, 95. I was playing the game with my brother, deciding what year it was, and that's what we determined, 94, 95 GT. And it was just down the street of the Granny GT. And so we came out here to go for a walk around our old neighborhood. And yeah, really nice to see my silver GT out here parked on the road where we went for a walk. Just looked great. It's fun to be here, and this is where, you know, I got my first Mustang, and so the neighborhood where my brother and I really enjoy that. And there's a V6 here. This is a Red Fire '04, and from the road it looks really nice. I guess now you can see the tops tearing up and the paint's faded. It had a big egg crate dent in this back bumper, but they must have fixed that, so that's good. At least it got some care. Then I took the silver GT on a late McDonald's run with my oldest son, and that was fun. So I got up pretty early the next morning, about 6 o'clock, and I had the day off, and I thought, you know, I'm gonna get all these Cobras and Mustangs and Mach 1 and Bullitt, get them all together for a big photo shoot. It's been a long time since my brother and I got all of our cars together in this parking lot. It's a block away from each of our houses, right in the middle, so really easy to get to, and I shuttled each one of these cars down here. And my brother had the day off too, but he was busy, and so he finally came with his Cobra at the end, and then we did our walk around video. It's about an hour long, and it's on my channel, so if you're interested in learning about each of these cars or hear what we have to say about each of these cars, I think it was a very fun video, and that'd be a good one for you to watch. And it's just something that, like I mentioned in the video, I can talk about each of these cars, and there's always something new to say about each one, or a detail we haven't mentioned. And I do have the story of each of these cars on my channel on their own playlist, and then in the My Mustang update video, which you're watching right now, I show what I'm doing with the cars now. So it's kind of fun. But man, look at all these lined up here. It's so cool. It's like a Ford dealership, you know, in 2003, and I was there in 2003 at the Ford dealer looking at Mustangs like this and wishing I could have one. So I'm very happy to have this collection of Mustangs now, and these are my favorite cars, and my brother and I are very excited to have this collection, and it grows over time. And you know, I think it's a pretty impressive lineup. I don't really know of anyone else who has a New Edge collection like this. There are some people who collect them to sell them and stuff, but not many people collect them because they love them like we do. Next morning, I took the yellow Mach 1 up to the big car show up here at the old airport, which is where the new technical college has their auto program. Mach 1 looked fantastic up there, and guess what I found here? That's right, it's the 1998 chrome yellow Mustang GT, known as the Granny GT. And so the son works here at the college. I believe he's the welding teacher, and he drives it occasionally, and so I was glad to see it up here at the car show. It was just parked where you could see it, but it wasn't technically in the show, but looks really good. I'm happy to see it here. And then as I was walking through, just the fender of this GT caught my eye, and I said to my sons, hey guys, come over here, I see a Mustang. And so we walked over, and I looked at it. Okay, dual exhaust cutouts here. Side scoops are 99 or 2000, so must be a 99 to 2000 GT. It looks like it needs some work. My friend actually said they started it up and it sounded like it was running on 3 cylinders. But definitely a cool car. Nice to see it up here getting some work done to it at the auto shop. And you know, I looked it over. It looked like it used to have a pony badge on that fender, so the fenders have probably been replaced. But I did try to look through and see if it had the 150 mile an hour gauge cluster. There's the V6 fenders, you can tell. So the V6 hood or a 99 or 2000 GT hood, so that's the same. But yeah, kind of hard to see inside of it, but I did look underneath, and it was a V8 4.6 2-valve. This Camaro was pretty cool. It had a supercharger on it. Really nice 67 Camaro. Beautiful car. And they have it on the dyno. You're going to see it here run on the dyno. And unfortunately, it wasn't getting enough fuel with the carburetor setup it has, and it was leaning out, so they ran it on the dyno, and it leaned, and they ran it again, and then aborted the pull, but you'll see it run. Cool to see this little Mini next to a Camaro. Now, the Camaro is kind of a big car, and the Mini is a small car, but it's kind of funny to see the difference in size between the two of them. That's definitely a small car. I actually have been in one of those. This is my friend's automatic '04 Mach 1, dark shadow gray. Beautiful car, and it's very nice, and he takes really good care of it, and he shows it, and it has the LMR rear deep dish wheels on it too and stuff, LMR wheels on the front too, so Good looking car. Here's a black 6-speed W6 Trans Am. You don't see many of these around anymore. And my friend who's running the dyno today in this video actually has one of these that's, you know, a turbo car, and it's all built up and stuff, and it's front halved, and so kind of nice to see an original Trans Am. Definitely not many of these on the road as much anymore. Here's a nice red Hellcat, just a beautiful car all around. Love these Hellcats. I think they're really fun, great cars. And here is a 64 to 66 fastback, really nice. Love the color, looks really good. Here's a new Mach 1 as well, nice looking car. And my friend's Red Fire Whipple Terminator, getting some good attention. Now you may have seen the short I made about this Batmobile Corvette, and it has a lot done to it. So it's a C5 Corvette, and they went all out with the Batmobile or Batman theme stuff. Lots of really well done artwork. I mean, it's very, very well done. And so this is where somebody's two loves met, their love of Batman and their love of cars. And they had it all done up, cool, Gotham.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
License plate. So here's that 67 Camaro. So kind of a short pull there. Sounded good. You can see the yellow Granny GT parked over there. Looks great there. And we stuck around and saw my friend's Coyote made just over 700 again. We had a dyno recently in my other video. ESS charged.
It's on the computer inside the laptop.
The Granny GT looking so good. And there was a V6 04 torch red in the parking lot, so I thought I'd take a video of that, give it some love. And of course, the yellow Mach 1 looking great. My wife came in the silver GT and met up with us up there, so that was fun. So we're going to cruise around a little together. We'll go meet up and get lunch. friend sent me pictures of his zinc yellow Mach 1 that's been wrecked. His son hit it into something, kind of swinging it around. It's a lower mileage car. He was wondering what to do with it, and so I gave him some suggestions. We'll see how that goes. Took the silver GT to the church the next morning. It was raining, but it was a beautiful day. And then driving home from work the next day, this other silver V6 is always driving about the same time I am, so just kind of shows what other new edge on the road are like these days. Took the zinc yellow Mach 1 to the parts store to finally get some stuff for the Tahoe. I've been holding back, and I know I've been needing to do it for a long time, but it was time to get new rear brakes, new brake shoes on the back, and struts all around, and rear brake pads and everything. So this was definitely something I've been needing to do, and I've just been putting it off. And so you can see the pads were pretty worn down. Not completely gone, but they're getting there, so definitely need to be replaced. Took the silver GT the next morning and went and got some groceries. The car looks so good. Man, I just love walking out to it. It looks fantastic. It's a beautiful car. And, you know, where this car came from, having been, you know, completely wrecked when I got it, to our most reliable, one of our lowest mileage Mustangs that we just drive everywhere. It's really cool. So I just enjoy being with it, and my son and I were waiting for my wife to come out from her work, and we were going to pick her up and go somewhere, and so we had the GT in the parking lot there. Just a great time to walk around it and hang out in the nice daylight. It was just a beautiful day, and there's a bike trail right there next to it that we walked up and down a little bit, but it was just such a nice day to walk around and hang out with the Mustang and see it out here. And it just looked so good parked underneath that carport there, so I really enjoyed it. Then I found my brother's GT in town. He had dropped it off and went somewhere with his wife and family, and I just happened to see his GT, so I went and parked by it because I had to go to Best Buy for a minute anyway, and so that's where I parked, and it's fun to see it there. Then my friend's Mach 1 had some issues, and we ended up fixing it. All 4 O2 sensors were loose, but now it runs good, and the rattling noise is gone. I talked about that earlier in the video. And so, like I said before, we had pulled the transmission off twice. The second time we had to do the pivot ball stud again, and he thought there was something with the transmission, but luckily we found out it was just the O2 sensors were all loose and rattling around. So the next morning we were going to take it to a car show, and so we got it running, and it sounded great. This car really does sound good when it runs.
Oof.
So I went to the car meet with my friend. It was more of his friends kind of a thing, and a lot of exotic cars, and they just really don't appreciate the Mustangs. So didn't really enjoy going to that meet. Nobody really cared. I let people tell me how great their exotic cars were, and that was about it. And then, another kid was kind of trashing on my Mach 1 for being yellow. So I'm like, why would I go to a car meet like this? I love my car meets because everyone who goes to my meet has a great time. We're all friends. We're all muscle car guys. It's mostly Mustangs, and everyone just gets along so well. So it's just such a better environment than this. But oh well, I tried it out, but I won't go back. Was driving back, I saw this Mustang GT with a Celine body kit. It was a 99 or 2000, judging by the center console. It had the different cup holders in there, so that's how I could narrow it down. But really cool looking car, and there's no Celine number on the bumper. The C-pillars were wrong. There's just stock C-pillars, but it had all the old badges on it, so it was kind of cool to see. Obviously something that somebody enjoyed and made a replica Celine with. The seats were stock GT seats, but looked cool. I think it was a fun-looking car, and for something that seems to be daily driven and sits out all the time, that's all right. It's cool to see somebody enjoying the car, and my friends told me they had seen it for sale up north, so I put a short out there and said, is it fake or is it real? Even though I already knew it was fake. But people said the C-pillars were the biggest giveaway, that it doesn't have the Celine style sail panels on it. But most people wouldn't let a Celine sit out like this anyway, or be in this kind of condition. But, still cool to see. There are some that are daily driven. I guess somebody said they zip tie the body kit to the fuel tank straps. Maybe that helps it stay up or something like that. But anyway, then I walked back to my yellow Mach 1. I was like, man, this car is so clean. I love this car so much. And so just nice to go see that Mustang, because I just caught it out of the corner of my eye and had to go over and look at it. So that was fun. But man, this car is beautiful. I love my cars. Saw my blue Mach 1 for a minute, went over and swept out this garage and cleaned it out. My brother was there with his red Mach 1 as well. So anyway, that's the update for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there's more to come. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.